An ordinance amending Ordinance 1443, Article 2, District Regulations, Table 201, to delete major timbering and logging operation as a conditional use in the S1, S, R1, R2, R3, R5, C1, C2, C3, L, M1, and M2 zoning districts, and insert forestry activities and timber harvesting as a permitted use by right in all zoning districts.
And this will be, is that a public hearing for today?
Yes, it is.
Okay, the motion on the floor.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Bob, if you'll help me out on this.
Yes, Mayor, by way of background, as everybody is aware, and we spoke about it earlier tonight, we've been contacted by the Attorney General's office, and they've pointed out certain deficiencies in the scheme that we have to regulate timbering. One of the major deficiencies was just a small portion of timbering and logging is regulated in our zoning ordinance. The only thing we do is tell you where you can and cannot do it. According to the municipality's planning code and the acre legislation, we are not allowed to restrict what zoning districts those activities take place in. So the purpose of this ordinance is to correct the use table so that it reflects that timbering can take place in any zoning district in Monroeville. The regulations that are the second part of this are part of another ordinance which council has not considered yet. So the same regulations that have always been in existence are still in existence. The only thing that this does is changes where that use can occur and what standards the use occurs by.
Questions, counsel, for Mr. Rancher? Seeing that, is anybody, once again, I think we certainly talked it a little earlier during our citizens' night, but would any other person like to come on up and address council?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't here earlier.
That's okay, sign in, please state your name for the record.
Boyce. I live on Point Circle Drive.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
Yeah, I was just curious about, it's been a while since I've read, about a year ago, some different documentation, particularly something from the state. I think from the state, they were talking about the ordinance of farming and agriculture, some of the words
Yes.
on the key words
Yes.
that they were talking about in the regulation that we're in violation of, okay? What I understand, the taxing rates that, let's call it the Monroeville, the Point Circle Association in Monroeville, is at such a low rate. I understand that they were originally issued because they were a nonprofit organization. I don't know if that's correct or not.
Are you referring to the assessment of the land that would be
Yes.
the subject of the timbering activity?
Correct. And that's what started all this.
Okay.
Okay? Now, in the letter that I think the Attorney General sent, was there wording in there that they said they are now a farming
No, what the letter
and agricultural?
what the letter actually said is that timbering, the regulation of timbering, is considered part of farming and agriculture, as that
Correct.
term is defined in that state law that we
Correct.
referred to earlier in the meeting as acre, ACRE.
Okay, all right.
So that's really where the farming angle came in.
Correct. So if they were representing themselves originally as a nonprofit for a taxing body, and now they're talking to the state that they are now a farming entity, wouldn't there be a change in the tax rate? And what I heard, and what I think I've read, that goes back, if there's a change, that they're liable for back taxes of 10 years.
I'm not aware of that. I would, to speak to your question, what I would say is this. There's a possibility that the county, in assessing that property, would look at it differently,
Correct.
given that it was to take place, there was a timbering use to take place on the property. Now, I don't know what the county scheme was with the present
Well,
valuation.
what I was wanting the term farm, like they're farming trees,
Right.
okay? So then if they're a farmer, aren't they subject to that kind of tax? Hasn't the municipality not been collecting its fair share for like the last 10 years or more, since they did have a logging operation going, what, 10 years ago, 8 years ago?
1997.
When was that?
1997.
1997, okay? And the monies that was brought in to that organization, wouldn't that be taxed at a business rate if they were claiming that they were a farm? So that's just one angle that I think when I read over, that I kind of like went a little tilt. I mean, it seems to be some sort of a change in what they're representing themselves as, particularly in the tax rate.
Is that
So-
something we can look into?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they did in 1997. I've been told that they timbered there, and I have no reason to doubt that, obviously.
Right.
They did timber. And I don't know how I have not looked at the county assessments. I don't know what it looks like in terms of valuation of property. The county typically values wooded property, depending on slopes and other matters. They typically value it pretty low.
Correct, correct.
Now, whether or not there are any issues, I think you've raised a number of important points tonight.
Right.
And it's certainly something for us to take a look at.
And you will.
That would all be through the tax office. I'm not sure what our current tax code Monroeville is for farms, if there is it's not a
Correct.
business or a retail or a
Correct.
service.
Well, the
So-
issue is if you have somebody logging, they're conducting a business in Monroeville, are subject to our business taxes. They would be
Right.
most
The
likely.
the company that is doing the logging.
Correct.
Even if they're from out of town.
Correct. And as you know, with respect to the real estate valuation, that's a different matter.
Right. And then any income that the homeowners would receive from logging, that'd be picked up on their earned income tax.
Possibly.
Well, you think that would be picked up.
You would
Well,
think
not
that.
necessarily, because that would be income, and that may not be picked up as an earned wage.
Well, I
But
think
if
Bob's
they're
gonna look
classified
into-
as a farmer now, if they're farming this,
That's
Yeah,
definitely-
I
that's definitely a
think
tax
it's-
office
you're
question.
talking about a whole different issue now.
You raised a lot of good points. I think there's a lot that I don't know about sitting here tonight, but we're certainly going to look into it, and, we'll let you know what our findings
Because
are.
if they're misrepresenting themselves and have changed their representation, isn't that causing a lot of distress that's going on here? And everybody changing
sure,
and looking at
sure.
these ordinances and everything? Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your comments,
Thank
sir.
you for your thoughts.
And you know what, sir, you can certainly get on the website and get a hold of the manager or Bob or myself. Or any of our numbers are up there, so
Okay,
you can certainly do that. And Jimmy Johns is your councilman.
Yes, I know.
You can
He's not
certainly
here.
go through Jim.
I have one more, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Okay, an ordinance repeal,
Oh, no, no,
I'm
no,
sorry,
no,
we're still,
No, no, no.
Public hearing.
I'm sorry.
Still a public hearing.
Still
Would
a
anybody
public-
else like to address council on this item before you? Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This public hearing is closed, and now we can move over.